The other thing you could do is you might need to hire a coach. And there's a couple times that I've kind of reached a point where I go, I need to move farther than my critique group can help me, or people that encourage me. I need a professional. Now, how many of you have hired someone to do your taxes? You know, yeah, people have hired someone to do your taxes, teach you to golf. Lori and I took kayaking lessons. We have this big tandem kayak, and some people call tandem kayaks divorce boats. But we worked pretty well together, but we went down to Lake Union, and we hired a guy to go out with us for a couple hours and teach us different things. And I mean, it made a big difference in how we worked together. So we paid someone to go out and do that. So 2 times I've done that myself. One is I hired Jeff Gerke, who's the publisher of Marcher Lord Press, and he's been an editor at some major publishing houses. I gave him the first 10 pages of my book and paid him to review it. He came back, gave me some specific suggestions, gave me some books to read, and I'm looking at this and I go, man, why did I just not know this? But hiring that professional helped move me to the next level, helped me move closer to the bar, if not over it. Well, what happened from that? Jeff had a contest in 2009, which he vowed never to repeat, called the Marcher Lord Select Contest. And what he did was he had 36 entries of books, speculative fiction, supernatural fiction, and he took these 36 entries, and no one knew who they were. They were all anonymous, and he published the title and the first 500 words of each book. And so what happened is people had a couple weeks to comment, and there were all these boards that they could visit and comment about, I like this book, or I think this is bad. So there were all these comments and discussions about this book, and then at the end of it, people voted, and half the books were left. So I checked with Jeff after half the books were eliminated. He goes, oh, you're in first place. So then they go through the same thing, and now the discussions get more heated. You can kind of tell that some of the people are in there or have a stake in it, or getting kind of vicious. So after another round, it got cut down to, I think, 12. And I talked to Jeff. Yeah, you're still in first place. And by the way, the winner got a book contract with Jeff's Marcher Lord Press. So it gets all the way down to the last round, and there's 3 people left. And the book that I thought was best got voted out. It didn't make it to the final round, so I thought, oh man, I'm in. I've led the first 3 every round up to now. And so New Year's Eve, they do the voting, and we're sitting there waiting with some of our friends in our living room, and I came in 3rd. Yeah, I came in 3rd, but what it did was it helped give me some encouragement. It helped, out of 36 books, I wound up as 3rd place, and a lot of people still come up to me at conferences and say, oh, you're the guy who wrote The Last Apostle. That book should have won. And in fact, Lynette did an interview with me, so that's my very first interview as an author. Interviewed me on the blog. So that's what working with Jeff Gerke helped me. So the other thing that happened is still I was getting some action in that, but I really felt like I needed some more help. So I went to Mick Silva last spring, and I had him look at the entire book, and he did what's called a macro edit. He didn't go through and check punctuation in that. He looked at the entire book, and Mick is a former editor with Waterbrook and a number of other publishing houses, and he looked through it, gave me some ideas. He said, this is the best thing I've seen since I left Waterbrook, and he gave me that quote that's on my bookmark. So he also gave me some very specific suggestions about how to improve it, and that's what I was working on over the summer. That's how I spent my summer vacation. So sometimes you have to go out and go beyond the volunteer stage and hire a professional, and that'll make a difference. Chip McGregor, who's an agent in our industry, says good writing will win out. Trying to get a book published, I think, is like trying to get a job where the unemployment rate is 95%. And some people say more like 98%. But Chip says good writing will win out. And the key thing is, like we talked about before, I have to and you have to do the things that make sure your writing meets that bar, even though you don't know where that bar is. You have to keep working on that. So resources that I recommend, writing the breakout novel is one Mick recommended, a number of other people, and the first 5 pages from Noah Lukeman. And then there's a guy named Randy Ingermanson who does an advancedfictionwriting.com website, And he has great tips, and the good thing is he also understands a lot about the industry. It's almost like he's a rocket scientist, and he really is.